A psychic can see the past, present, and future events. A medium can communicate with spirits. A psychic medium can do both. Any good psychic medium, as they are sometimes referred as, can tell you that the process of the spiritual awakening isn't for the faint of heart. It can potentially be a long and painful process in many cases, and nothing can be skipped or ignored. It seems like everyone is in a hurry to get to the part where you get to use your pineal gland or third eye, but that's only a very small part of the spiritual awakening process. In fact, it's simply the point where you are able to access the tools needed to go further in the complete process. Yes, there is much more to it than seeing spirit, and in fact, the real excitement comes from seeing yourself for the first time as you truly are. While it's different for everyone, it tends to happen with the same steps for everyone, but in individual order. A lot of times you don't have a clue it's even happening until you hit the bumpy part of the road we call the dark night of the soul, and that is when most people figure it out for themselves that life has changed, often without warning and often in a mentally painful way. If you are reading this book or others like it, then it's a safe bet that you are somewhere on the journey and looking for answers, which is what most of us do when we realize that something is going on. We become sponges and eagerly absorb every bit of information we can about the process, but there are pros and cons both to absorbing too much information. You are going to find articles, books, and videos that promise some sort of special information or secret techniques to instantly open that third eye so you can start giving readings, but I call BS on most of that, because this is not about learning a new magic trick, it's about self-discovery. Even if you skip the entire process and your third eye suddenly just pops open prematurely, then what? I'll tell you what, mental breakdown. If you aren't ready and you force it, then it's unhealthy and potentially dangerous to have an activated pineal gland. There are quite a few people who ended up in mental health facilities because they treated the process like a game and just rushed to get the psychic abilities without the actual spiritual awakening. So I am going to help you like I've helped many others by guiding you from the right start, and it doesn't matter what's going on right now with your progress, you can follow along with me and learn how to make some authentic spiritual awakening progress. It's not about how fast you can learn how to do this, but rather how much you understand and implement the necessary changes. You can just work towards opening your third eye, but you will be completely missing the entire point if you do it that way. If that is your primary goal, then you might as well just quit reading right now, because I practice and teach how to spiritually awaken the natural way, not the quick and easy way. The biggest truth I can tell you about this is that your pineal gland will not activate until your conscious is ready for it, and for good reason. This life you are living is much more mind-blowing than you may realize without your pineal gland. There is just so much you don't know or see right now, and once it's open and you see things for what they really are, it can traumatize people, and mental health facilities are full of people who suddenly experienced an awakening, often drug-induced, and lost their mental balance. I will never ever recommend using drugs to activate the pineal gland, but some people choose that route and they crash and burn and end up having to start the process from scratch anyway in order to recover, and it's a much harder way in the long run. I promote the natural process that allows you to go into this step by step, and by the time your pineal gland starts activating, you will actually be ready for what happens, and you will experience it in a much healthier way. Throughout this book I will teach you how to open your third eye, because it's part of the process, and it is literally the spiritual tools that you were born with and are meant to have and meant to use. There will be points throughout that you may not immediately understand what they have to do with anything, but I assure you that they are important. My information may differ from someone else's, but that doesn't mean that anything is wrong with either way. I ask you to simply take with you what resonates and leave the rest behind. The right information will come to you at the right time, and I believe that I have something to teach you, otherwise you would not be reading this book. Remember, everything happens for a reason and there are no mistakes. This books will contain a combination of psychological and spiritual practices because they go together in a symbiotic relationship, but actual religion plays a very small role, and I won't go too deep into religion because there are so many strong feelings and belief systems in place, and people get way too hung up on the rules of religion, and I personally consider religion to be anti-spiritual because of the leaders of churches and their human egos. But I will say this much: I think there is truth in every religion hidden among many falsehoods. Certain religions will tell you that communicating with angels is wrong and it's evil, while others will tell you that it should be daily practiced. So who is right? That's why I avoid religion and stick with truths that resonate with me. I rely heavily on my spirit team in everyday life, and I consult with them about everything. They communicate back to me through intuition, synchronicity, and clairaudience, and you will want to get to know your team too. We all have one. Your spirit team will consist of many different beings, including your higher self. You have angels, spirit guides, loved ones who are in spirit right now, ascended masters, guardian angels, creator, gods, goddesses, Jesus, Buddha, past life loved ones, sprites, aliens, and on and on. Your intuition will tell you who is on your team. These beings agreed to assist you long before you were born into the person you are in this lifetime, and you can call on them to help you anytime you need. Don't get hung up on names because it doesn't really mean anything to them, but you can ask what to call them so you get who you need. But a name is really just a human formality to help you identify them for your own comfort, and many of these beings might not have an actual name, so asking your guide what her name is probably won't get you any answers. So instead ask her what she would like you to call her, and she will find a way to get the answer to you. Later on I will tell you how to work with your spirit team in unison like a well-oiled machine so you can get the most out of your life and learn how to accept the help they are eager to give you. You will also discover many wonderful things about yourself and learn your intended soul mission, soul purpose, and soul lesson before we reach the end of this book, and your psychic tools will be put to use almost immediately. What so many people don't realize is that they have had the tools all along but just didn't know what they had or how to use them the right way. Intuition is where it all starts, and once you work on that, the rest will fall into place. In combination between learning from the life you have lived up to this point, studying your past lives, and learning to trust your intuition, you will reach your spiritual goals. There is nothing wrong with wanting to activate your pineal gland. It's an exciting tool to use, but you have to balance it all out and not make it a difficult struggle to get it open too soon, and once you are prepared it will happen, and what we are doing here is getting you prepared. One of the best parts of a spiritual awakening can feel like it's the worst for a while, because your life is going to have to reset itself in order to get to the level you need to be at in life, and make no mistake that it will likely be a painful time in life at first, and this may last for a while, depending on how much of a reset you require. Reset. When it's time for your spiritual awakening to begin, your life will seem to flip and flop to places you never saw coming, and while it can be very uncomfortable and sometimes downright painful, it's necessary so that you can become the person you came here to be. Up until this point you have exercised your free will in order to learn some very serious lessons and gain specific life experiences so you can understand them better and learn how to become an empathetic being. Just to give an example, let's say that you have had a very bad life filled with abuse, addiction, and poverty. You have likely experienced a lot of things in this life that, if you paid attention to your experiences, you gained much insight into the lives of key people who experience these things. Once you have your rock bottom and experience your personal reset and heal from your experiences, you now have the ability to help others who are living that life or have lived that life to heal and recover from it, because you understand it and have empathy for others who have had similar experiences and truly care. Now this is just an example, and not everyone is meant to go this route, but in some way your life before your reset will guide you into helping heal yourself and others in either large or small ways. You will lose all that does not serve you after your reset, and while it may be a painful experience to lose friends, family, jobs, homes, etc., the recovery will leave you happier than you have ever been in this life. The fact is, you will need to have what does not serve to be removed to make room for what does, and only then can you really live a rewarding and fulfilling life. It's a time of reflection for you to see where you have went off track and to build back up to where you are really meant to be. It's a misconception that all spiritually awakened people become entrepreneurs, but a good percentage do start creating new businesses or train for new careers that they actually enjoy and give them purpose. It's not all about making more money, but rather it's about doing what you love and assisting humanity in some way. If you love being a cashier, then by all means, be the best cashier you can be. If you want to create a coaching business for people who have suffered problems that you have suffered, then that is great too. It's all about what makes you happy and how you can impact other lives. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please like and subscribe to hear the next section of our message.